So, you're thinking about moving to Canada. It's a huge life decision, one of the biggest you can make. But here's the thing, getting there successfully isn't just about paperwork. It's all about strategy. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Let's build that roadmap. Okay, first things first, let's just wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this. By 2026, Canada's goal is to welcome 500,000 new permanent residents in a single year. I mean, that is a huge number, a massive opportunity. But here's the catch. Grabbing one of those spots, it's tougher and more competitive than it's ever been. And that right there is the key. You've got to understand this. The old idea of just, getting in a line and waiting your turn, that's completely gone. Forget about it. What we have now is basically a high-stakes competition driven by data that's laser-focused on picking very, very specific people. So what is this new game, really? Well, think of it like this. It's a system built to find people who can hit the ground running and contribute to Canada's economy from day one. To win, you have to understand the rules, and that means you need to know exactly what the federal government and the provinces are looking for. All right, so let's run through the quick facts, the stuff you absolutely need to know. Yep, that 500,000 target, it's real. When you do apply, you're looking at a wait time of anywhere from 6 months to, honestly, over a year. But here's the good news, and it's really good news. You can apply for citizenship after just 3 years of living here. But hold on. Before you even get to that point, there are 2 things that are absolutely non-negotiable. You've got to take a language test and get your education assessed. Okay, to really get a handle on this system, you need to think of it as having 2 main paths. It's like there are 2 front doors to the country. One is run by the federal government, and the other is actually a set of 10 different doors, one for each province. They all lead to the same place, permanent residency, but the keys to unlock each door, totally different. So let's break down the big difference between these 2. On one hand, you have express entry. This is a straight-up national points race. Whoever has the highest score wins. Simple as that. And it definitely favors younger folks with higher education and top-notch language skills. But then you've got the Provincial Nominee Programs, the PNPs. And these are way more targeted. See, a province might pick you not because you have the highest score overall, but because you're a nurse or a welder or a software dev. Exactly the skill they need to fill a job in their local community. And this leads us to probably one of the most important points in this whole process, deciding where you want to live. That's not just about lifestyle. No, it's a critical part of your immigration strategy. Picking the right province can literally make or break your application. It affects your job options, what you'll pay for rent, and even your chances of getting picked in the first place. All right, let's kick things off with the big one, Ontario, home to Toronto, Canada's economic powerhouse. If your career is in finance, IT, or engineering, this is ground zero. This is where the jobs are. But, and it's a big but, there's a trade-off, and that trade-off is the insane cost of living. So just how big is that trade-off? Let's put a number on it. The average rent for a simple 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto, we're talking over $2,650 a month. That one number alone should tell you everything you need to know about the kind of financial planning you need to even think about landing in Canada's biggest city. Okay, let's head west. You've basically got 2 major but very different players, BC and Alberta. In British Columbia, you get that incredible lifestyle. Mountains, ocean, you name it, plus a booming tech and film scene. The catch? It has the most expensive housing in the entire country, period. But then, right next door, you've got Alberta. Think high wages, especially in energy and tech, but with a much lower cost of living. And get this, no provincial sales tax. It's a province practically built for saving money. Okay, so what if you're not that perfect high-scoring candidate for Ontario? Or maybe you're just looking for a different vibe. This is where you need to start thinking strategically. Look at the prairies and the Atlantic coast. These are regions that are actively, and I mean actively, looking for people to come and build their communities. And this is where your strategy can really pay off. See, provinces like Saskatchewan and Manitoba, their provincial programs often have lower score cutoffs. This gives a real shot to people who might get lost in the noise of the federal system. And then if you look out east, you've got the Atlantic Immigration Program, or AIP. It's basically a fast track for anyone who can land a job offer in that region. When you lay it all out like this, the strategic choices just jump off the page. I mean, just look at that. There's a $1,000 a month difference in rent between Vancouver and Calgary for pretty similar tech jobs. You can see how the huge job market in Toronto is a totally different play than, say, Montreal's super specialized AI and aerospace scene, Or look at Halifax. It's affordable and it has its own special immigration stream. This table right here, this is your cheat sheet. All right, so we've talked about the where. Now let's switch gears and get into the nitty-gritty, the how. We're going to break down the entire application into a simple 3-phase blueprint. You can really boil the whole journey down to these 3 simple stages. First, there's the prep work you do before you even apply. Second, there's the application itself when you're in the pool. And finally, the arrival, landing in Canada and starting your new life. Okay, phase 1. This is all about your homework. It's the prep phase. You literally can't even start without your language test results. That's either IELTS or CELPIP for English. Next up, you have to get what's called an Educational Credential Assessment, an ECA. This is what proves your degree is legit by Canadian standards. And only once you have those 2 things can you really figure out which immigration program you actually qualify for. So, once all that prep work is done, you're ready for phase 2. This is where you create your online profile and submit what's called an expression of interest, or EOI. It's basically like putting your hand up in a huge room and saying, "Hey, I'm here, I'm interested." And then you wait. If your score is high enough when they do a draw, you get the golden ticket, the invitation to apply, the ITA. This is huge. And the moment you get it, a clock starts ticking. You have exactly 60 days to submit every single piece of paper they ask for. And speaking of requirements, one of the biggest ones is proof of funds. If you're a single applicant under Express Entry, you have to show that you have what they call settlement funds. Right now, that number is almost 15,000 Canadian dollars, and that number can change, so you have to keep an eye on it. This is basically to prove you can support yourself when you first arrive. All right, let's talk about the final phase. And honestly, this might be the most important part of the whole conversation. You've done it. You have your visa, you've landed in Canada, but now what? The journey is far from over, and you have to be ready for the hurdles that come next. So let's talk about the first big one, and it's something that drives so many newcomers crazy. It's the Canadian experience paradox. It's this ridiculous loop. You can't get a job without Canadian experience, but how are you supposed to get Canadian experience if no one will give you a job? It's a total catch-22, and it trips up so many incredibly talented and qualified people. So, how do you beat it? What's the strategy? The answer is you have to be flexible, and you might have to swallow your pride a little bit. This could mean taking what's often called a survival job, or maybe a position that's a level or 2 below what you were doing back home. The goal here isn't the job itself. The goal is to get that first Canadian line on your resume, to start networking, and to just get your foot in the door. Okay, 2 other massive challenges you need to plan for: the housing crisis and getting your professional credentials recognized. With housing, one strategy is to look beyond the big cities. The competition for rentals in smaller, secondary cities is just, well, it's a lot less intense. And if you're in a regulated field, think engineering, nursing, things like that, the absolute key is to start the process with the Canadian licensing body before you leave your home country. Do not wait until you land. And really, all of this brings us back to one central idea. Getting to Canada successfully isn't about luck. It's not just about filling out a form correctly. It's a strategic journey. It demands serious research, careful financial planning, and a very, very realistic view of the challenges you're going to face. So there you have it. You've got the roadmap. You know about the different systems, the strategies for picking a province, you know the phases of the application, and you know about the real-world problems you'll face when you get here. The only question left is the big one. You have the map, but are you really prepared for the journey?